I'm Cori Ellison, dramaturg, and welcome to Santa Fe Opera's Conversations in Quarantine. And our guest today is an old and good friend, Huang Ruo, wonderful composer who has composed the opera Butterfly, which is in our 2020 summer season. So greetings, Huang Ruo.
Not good. I'm sorry.
And
Great to see you.
Great to see you. You're home in New York, of course.
Well, I'm actually now we are with Shelley's family now.
Oh, and where is that?
It's in North Carolina.
Oh my goodness.
And you know it's very strange to think, but when the outbreak starts, and one thing we did talk about as family is what happened if we both got sick.
Wow.
And who are taking care of our two kids. And one of the strange thing about this pandemic is it really make us to in a way connect with people online in this case, or with our family for reasons that maybe normally we don't think about that, but it just make us revalue everything in a different way.
It's really such an irony that in a time where we're required to be so isolated physically, it so underlines our interconnectedness in so many ways.
That's right.
Yeah, it really does. So you're in North Carolina, and it's the family of Shelley, your lovely wife, who is a wonderful bassoonist.
Yes.
And your kids. So what are your kids up to these days?
So the school is closed now, so everything is moved to online teaching, at least for my son, who's in the first grade. So we are having them occupied on their iPads and all the good gadgets. And my daughter, who loves to paint, so she paints a lot during the day. So we try to keep them occupied with different creativities, but still being at home is not that the same as for them being with their friends and other children they like to play with. So so it's the reality that we are facing.
I know they both study the violin. Are they practicing?
So we did have them play the violin, and I would improvise on the piano for my son. My daughter is playing open strings now.
So there's a lot of live music in your house. I'm sure Shelley's practicing the bassoon as well.
She does sometimes, not a lot. I think we do our best to give them, our children as normal life as we can.
Well, music is normal.
I know. What I'm trying to say is for us, obviously we got affected tremendously, and for her is, she lost performances and teaching, things like that. Also, just mentally is, I remember with September 11th, this years ago, and I was in New York. It took me quite a while to come back with creativities, and so it does. This time around, strangely, I felt a similar wave of that kind of,
it hits you hard. I'm sure it hits you hard, and it does have an effect on your creativity. How are you spending your days other than taking care of your kids? Or what are you working on right now?
So what I'm doing a lot is, cooking. I do a lot,
Oh,
uh, and running out of ideas always. I'm not too good, but to survive, yes, I can do something. And yeah, I'm also writing a vocal theater piece,
ah,
uh, which I started before everything starts.
mhm.
Uh, so yeah, and then working with the two kids and keeping them occupied, including watching them, teaching them, playing with them. So yeah, so it's still very fulfilling, very busy every day. Uh, yeah, so
You want to
getting
tell us a
yeah.
little bit about the vocal theater piece you're working on?
So is well supposed to be premiered in the autumn, and is for 12 singers and two percussionists.
Oh,
And the vocal ensemble is called Ars Nova Copenhagen from
ah,
Denmark.
sure.
And it's a collaboration between me and also Basil Twist,
Oh,
who is
fantastic. Great
yeah, wonderful, wonderful
puppeteer.
artist, human
Yeah,
being,
he's
puppeteer,
a master puppeteer. Yeah.
master puppetry, brilliantly unique. So, so the original idea I have was there was this book called Book of Mountains and Seas. Is the oldest mythology book from China. And we don't know who wrote the stories or who wrote the texts. So throughout the generations, people keep adding things to it. And I took four stories and to make them into what I call a vocal theater, because the singers, they are not only singing, but they're also moving around doing puppetry themselves. So with that way, everything become a theater through voice and also percussive sounds and also visual. So that's what I'm working on now.
Wonderful, to have a creative project at a
Yeah,
time like this. And um, for performing artists, of course, it's very, very difficult because you can't get together and rehearse, and you can't get up on the stage and perform. But for a
right.
creative artist like yourself, there is a good deal that you can do, and so that's
Mhm.
a nice aspect of your part of the art form, don't you think?
Right. I saw this comic a photo. Someone sent me was before the quarantine. You see a composer sitting in a room alone, and then during the quarantine, it's exactly the same guy sitting in the room.
Right.
So
So
in a
you're that
way,
guy. You're that
that's
guy.
right. We are used to this kind of life by alone by ourselves, facing a piece of paper and pencil, just to be isolated. However, I should say it does, as I mentioned, mentally it does make a big difference. Waking up not knowing what today will be, uh, what's going what's going on in the world with the number counts. Every number is a heartbroken story, is a face, and is a family related to that number. So, as what I said, it does took me. I stopped writing for several weeks, I should say,
Oh.
um, and um, and then what keep me going on as of now is I'm at this part, is the fourth story of this vocal theater, where it talks about human came together and created this giant human being called Kwa Fu, who became alive, and he has this ambition of chasing the sun because he sees suns up and down every day. So he just running every day, trying to chase the sun. And then he got so thirsty, and then he drink all the waters from the river, and not enough. And then he dry out all the lakes. And then at the end, he died from exhaustion and thirsty. and the sun is still there, appearing every day. So it's a very abstract but meaningful story in that sense. To my understanding, it tells me of human ambition, of how we try to achieve the unachievable things, but also meanwhile taking a natural resource to be granted, and at the end, the nature is still there. So I'm working on this part that throughout this process, I have at first I want to create a very energetic, very loud, and very bright ending to show the sun. The sun, almost like in the Blue Bear Castle, the white color, right? A major sun. But I don't know. With this pandemic, I have exactly the opposite sort, and I turned 180 degree. Now I want something very quiet, very slow, very calm, but very warm. I just have this image of the aftermath of something, and human or people and nature, all lives coming out from where we were hiding, where we were even a crack in the wall, slowly looking at the sun and seeing the sunlight coming through the cracks and feeling the life and warmth again. So I just feel that reaction is not bombastic or not loud and not gigantic, but is soft.
Oh,
Yes,
you're
powerful.
giving me goosebumps, Huang Ruo. And
That gives me hope,
showing
Cori.
us, as a creative artist, you're showing us what to look forward to when this is all over, right?
I do see that image very vividly, and I'm using music to create that image, and I do look forward to that day when it is sound.
So do we
To be
all.
sure with everyone.
So one last question,
Yes, please.
with your chef's hat on.
Oh,
What's for dinner tonight?
I want to say Chinese food.
I have no idea why.
But that's the funny thing is, well, after we had kids, in a way, is we just improvise a lot. Uh, I don't know whether this is true for other family or not, but my children, they had very opposite tastes of things. So in and me and my wife, we have to create 4 different menus in that sense.
Oh,
So it's hard to just make one thing fits it all. But that give me challenge and creativity as well. So I think something practical, but also is easy, nothing complicated.
well, it sounds like, your life is not boring, so that's a good thing. So, Huang Ruo, thank you so much for sharing this time with us. And
Thank you, Cori. Always pleasure, and always enjoy talking with you. And hopefully next time we'll be in person.
In person, yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right.